Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe.
Gardi on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Mo better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Lessons off all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy Gardi3, and welcome to the Meaty Boys podcast, where, unlike the Green Bay Packers, we'll actually deliver for a full hour. So, my name is Gardi3. I'm still a little annoyed at my team. That's okay. Of course, we're here to talk wrestling, though, not football. Joining us just like every week, he is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, what's going on, Brett? What's going on, everybody out there in the chat? Appreciate you guys joining us on Meaty Boys podcast. Let's get into it.
No, absolutely. Mo, I figure we start off with maybe the most surprising news from this past week. It looks like Andrade is finally back with AEW. He appeared once, attacked Kenny Omega, was off TV for a long time. Turns out him and WWE were going back and forth over a non-compete. But it looks like it's all figured out because he showed up on AEW television again. So, Mo, how happy are you to see Andrade back on AEW TV? Because I know I'm happy. He's just such a great talent.
I think he's a really good talent that gets underused. Hopefully he'll get a bigger push back in AEW. My gut feeling is he will. So yeah, look, as a fan, if you enjoy what he does, and I do, he's going to bring more excitement, different storylines. It's a great pickup for AEW.
And he's just like a seemingly a perfect fit there. Just at the end of the day, with AEW tending to be more wrestling and like sports oriented, like that's just the perfect fit for a guy like Andrade, who no doubt is just one of the best wrestlers that you're going to see. So, like I said, I'm happy and I'm super excited. So, I'm curious to see where they go with Andrade.
I am too. There's a lot of ways they can go with him, but look, just as a fan, I can't wait to see him be the centerpiece of a big storyline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course, we also had a shocker on the WWE side of things, Mo, this past Friday night. Drew McIntyre is your WWE champion. Now, look, as much as we love Drew, I don't think any of us saw this one coming. We thought it'd be the old, hey, keep the title on Cody. We're about to go into Mania season. He's our champion. But they threw us a curveball, and Drew McIntyre is your champion. So I guess, what did you think about the title change? And do you think he keeps it till WrestleMania, or do you think this is just a swerve us and he drops it back at the Royal Rumble?
I really do think that I don't think he holds on to it till Mania. I don't. But I understand why they did it. I think they just the Cody thing, the finishing the story, the whole thing. I think it was getting a little bit stale. I do believe that down the line, this storyline, it's probably going to push the idea of a Cody Rhodes heel turn. And I think once he becomes a heel, Cody Rhodes might. There's a lot of guys that can be heels and faces. I think Cody Rhodes has the potential to be one of the great heels of all time.
Absolutely. And I think this presents you with an opportunity, right? And like we saw a report from Corey Hayes. He's been pretty on the ball with his WWE reporting, saying that there's a not necessarily heel turn, but an attitude change, like a character shift plan for Cody Rhodes. And I think even that could do him wonders. I get not wanting to fully turn Cody Rhodes heel, even though he's a fantastic heel. I get it. He does make a lot of money as a babyface, but if you can get like maybe a more edgy kind of Cody Rhodes, I think that would do wonders for him.
Yeah, look, if Cody Rhodes is gonna eat from the Stone Cold Steve Austin salad bar, then I'm good with that. If he's gonna be not necessarily a face or a heel, but let's just say the guy that works in that gray area, and you get a more aggressive, more divisive Cody Rhodes, I think that's entertaining as well. I agree.
And you know what, Mo? I think I see the vision, though, for Drew McIntyre. I think he does carry the title into WrestleMania.
Okay.
Mo, who's normally one of the more, who's one of the more popular wrestlers normally when they go over to Saudi Arabia? I think a good answer to that is there's a lot of, obviously, wrestlers that are popular, but one of the more popular wrestlers seems to be Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre has a career record of 11-0 against Sami Zayn. I think that if I know Triple H as well as I do, and considering he's done this 3 years in a row, he loves his underdog story. And ironically, obviously, 2 years ago, it was Sami Zayn versus Gunther. To me, it just feels like that there's just too much of an opportunity here for him to do it again. And you're going to hear a million times how Sami Zayn can't beat Drew McIntyre because he has never done it in his career. So I think you'll see him carry it into Mania, and I think they're going to get it. This is going to be the prime opportunity for them to do another underdog story, but this time with Zayn and McIntyre.
Yeah, look, you're right. Triple H does love that formula. He's gone to that well so many times. I would prefer it if he pulled the rug over our eyes and he goes in another direction. Get some new blood up in there. If you're going to, maybe Cody goes away for a while. Usually when they give up the belt, maybe they go on vacation, whatever, rest their bodies and all that. I would go another direction. If you're going to have Drew maybe give up the belt at WrestleMania, I know it's fast and it's rushed, but that's why it's different. I remember the interaction between Drew McIntyre and Obafemi when he interfered in Obafemi and Cody Rhodes' match. I wouldn't mind seeing Obafemi go for the belt. He didn't have to win. I wouldn't even call it for him to win. But I think it would be different. It would be entertaining. It's not a knock against Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn's character is basically the underdog. He's been the underdog since he's been in WWE. I don't really need to see that again. I'd rather see something different, something new.
No, absolutely. It's funny because I think that's the direction because I'm trying to think like Triple H, but like I said, I like Sami Zayn too, but at some point you have to stop being the underdog, right?
Right. That's
Like
what I mean.
when you win the tag titles against arguably the greatest tag team in WWE history against the Usos, then the year after you end one of the best intercontinental title reigns in WWE history. Like, at what point do you stop being the underdog? And that's kind of where I'm at with Sami Zayn because they'll push it again. They'll be like, he's the underdog, of the underground. I'm like, I don't know. I've watched this dude end like 2 historic title reigns at WrestleMania.
That's a good point.
I'm not exactly sure. Like, to me that would just be like if the Pacers won the NBA Finals last year, and then came in this year, and people still tried to play them as the underdogs. Like,
Right.
I don't know. They just beat the team that's 30-6 currently last year. I don't know if that's an underdog, but
Right. Yeah, the funny thing is, take for example Dom, who holds a belt. But if Dom were to get into a match with Drew McIntyre, now that would be an underdog. Nobody would think that Dom could beat Drew McIntyre. Because that would be Dom stepping up to the big league. He's never really faced the bigger names. He hasn't faced Reigns or Rhodes or anybody like that with a belt on the line. That would be an underdog. Sami Zayn is not an underdog. I know he's not the biggest star, but he's one of the most popular stars in the WWE universe, and he's won like you said, he's won multiple belts. He's not somebody that hasn't achieved anything in wrestling. And I think that as a mid-card star, he would win more belts. He's also been a main event guy. I'm not saying you're wrong. I actually think you're right. The history tells us that Triple H likes that angle, especially when you throw in the fact that he's never beaten Drew McIntyre. That kind of enhances that angle. I just hope they surprise us. Like you pointed out, when Drew beat Cody, I'm not going to lie. I was completely surprised. Did not see that coming. I would rather be surprised again than they go back to the old formula.
absolutely. And then obviously everybody who's watching, I do appreciate you for tuning in. Probably I might throw you an occasional Steelers versus Texans update in there because I know everybody's kind of locked into that game tonight. DK just drew pass interference to put the Steelers inside the 30. So
Okay.
so the Steelers are moving right now. So we'll see how that game plays out. Mo, I have a fun little game. Thought about it just before we went on. It's a game of would you do it? So it's really simple. I'm going to give you a fun scenario, but if you let this fun scenario happen, something bad happens. And here's my first one. Mo, would you give Carmelo Hayes a 6-month WWE title reign and push him as the next big thing, but for every month that he's champion, Brock Lesnar gets a 2-month reign. So you get a 6-month Mello reign, but you have to suffer another year-long Brock Lesnar title reign. Would you pull the trigger on Mello if that were the case?
I would not. And I like Mello. I think you like Mello too. But if I gotta indulge myself and have to deal with Lesnar running a show for a couple of I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mello. I can't do it.
No, that's fair. I just wanted to give an example. I might do more of those, but I thought that was a pretty funny one. I want to see Mello get a push, but I'm like, I want to see how far I can test. Like, what's the limit to the Mello push?
Yeah. Well, that's a lot right there. I can't look. Lesnar's bad. He's bad. He's bad news.
Yeah, fair. I don't even like him in the non-title scene, so I'm still anxious that they're going to put him in a title match at Mania. That would be brutal, but it feels like they're somehow going to sneak him in one.
I kind of believe that's true. I think you're right again. I think you're right again. I think he's going to get an opportunity to walk away with one of the belts.
You know, the brutal part is they have the perfect opportunity to do it, don't they? Next pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't think they actually go that direction with the Royal Rumble. I think that'd just be too disastrous of a moment.
Right.
But Mo, what I did want to ask about the Royal Rumble is, I'm just curious who are some surprise entries do you think that we could get this year for the Royal Rumble?
Well, I don't know if they're surprise entries, but I like that all the new guys that are coming up to the main roster. So I want Rashard Evans. Obviously, I want Obafembe, Trick Williams. I want all the young talents to be in the Royal Rumble. If you could call it a surprise, but I don't think it's a surprise. I think Reigns will be in the Royal Rumble. I think the Tribal Chief will be in the Royal Rumble. Look, you win the Royal Rumble, there's a point, there's a reward for winning it. So I think you're going to see some really big names in it, but I'd like to see some of the younger guys in there too. I think you're going to see Cody will be in it, of course. I think there's going to be a lot of guys in the Royal Rumble. It would be nice if they brought back a name that you don't see. You know who they have to put in the Royal Rumble just because he's the feel-good guy of wrestling? They got to put Joe Henry in the Royal Rumble. I love Joe Henry. Every time that music plays, I know it's a corny song, but it's so catchy. It's so catchy, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it. I do think that you'll see a couple names from TNA in the Royal Rumble. I think you'll get Joe Hendry, and I think it's going to be too tempting for them to at least not throw one, if not both, Hardy Boys in the Royal Rumble.
That would be awesome.
It's funny because I'm kind of at a point too, though, that the younger names kind of sound more interesting than the nostalgia acts. Like they're like talking like obviously maybe we'll get like Chris Jericho, but like look going through the names, it's just like I'd almost rather see your Javon Evans, your Obafemis. Like that just kind of sounds more exciting than trotting out some of these
dinosaurs.
Right. Like people are sharing videos like, oh, JBL's taking bumps again. Like, look, I'm a big JBL fan, but
he was awesome when he was in his prime.
Say, give me like Leon Slater instead. So
there you go. Give me Leon Slater. Give me the guy. Give me my guy. One of my favorite wrestlers. He just lost to Mello, who's one of my favorite wrestlers. Put Dragunov in. Dragunov is a beast. He got to be in the Royal Rumble. Love that guy.
Yeah, I still think it almost feels like if they don't really have a big plan for Gunther, if he's not going to be a world champion going into Mania or anything, say Gunther versus Dragunov. I think I was saying I thought that was going to be at least the Intercontinental title match for last year's Mania. Then obviously Dragunov, tore his ACL at a house show,
right,
and missed Mania. But I really thought that was the direction that they were going to go last year. So it wouldn't surprise me this year if they ended up putting Dragunov and Gunther together.
Even without a belt on the line, that would be a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see who they do end up putting into the the title match at the Rumble. It's going to be an 8-person tournament. So, Braun Breaker got suspended on Raw today. I don't know, man. Do you think that this is a ploy to maybe keep him away to the Rumble, or is this a strategy to keep him out of the Rumble? That way he doesn't have to look weak by getting tossed over the top rope.
Yeah, I'm wondering. There's a part of me that believes that's exactly what that is. That if he's not in the Rumble, there's no fear that he could lose in the Rumble or get chucked out of there. My guess is, look, I can't predict the future, but I will say it's obviously down the line. But would it surprise anybody if Breaker won Money in the Bank? Not me. It wouldn't. I could see him doing that. Although, if and when Seth Rollins is healthy, I can also see Seth Rollins winning Money in the Bank. So yeah, look, I want the mixture of the older established stars. I don't want the really ancient stars in there. Like I'm a huge Hardy Boy fan. But they are kind of like where Jericho is, and I want to see them for the nostalgia of it. but it's not like we think they have a shot to actually win it. But it would be nice to see them perform.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a big Hardy Boys fan too. I spelled out boys B-O-Y-Z for meaty boys because of the Hardy Boys spelling their name like that. It's a little tribute to Matt and Jeff. So I've always been a big fan of the Hardys. So yeah, no, I would love to see Jeff. At least I do think, no more words. If he brings back that theme song, that always gets everybody going. You know what? Who I think is actually going to end up being in the world title match at the Rumble. It feels like it's just too easy not to do this. I think we're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu at the Royal Rumble. Like, the story's there. Like, it's right in front of you. It just feels like the easiest route to go at this point and the best route to go.
That's interesting. It really is. And we almost forget because he made such an impression of us when he first came into the WWE universe, but Jacob's relatively new in the WWE. He hasn't been there for, he's not a pillar of it. He hasn't been there. His family's been there, but he hasn't been there. And you could sell me on the potential of Jacob Fatu win. I'm not saying he's going to win, but if he did win, nobody would go, there's no way he could beat Drew McIntyre. There's every way. I think Jacob Fatu, you could sell him pinning everybody on the roster. You wouldn't be like, I can't see him doing that. I absolutely can see him doing that. The only question is, if they're going to keep presenting him as a face, I don't want to see it. Because I don't know about you, but what I've seen of Jacob Fatu as a face, I don't like it. Some people can walk both lines. He's not one of them. He's not a good face. He's as bad a face as Tiffy was. She was horrible as a face. I need Jacob Fatu to either be in that gray area or be a heel, but I don't need him as a face.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job bringing him back into that like gray area when he returned, because obviously he helped Drew win on accident by attacking Cody. So I think they did a great job at that. But he's definitely a much better either tweener or heel than he is just a true baby face.
Right.
So I do think that they'll kind of do what they did last year with they had the tag titles last year as one of the first matches, and I think they'll kind of do that again. Except it feels like they've been building up the MFT versus Wyatt. So I think that'll be your tag title match at the Rumble.
Let me ask you this: with Fatu costing Cody the belt, why wouldn't we see Cody versus Fatu? Why wouldn't Cody demand that match?
You know what? I still think I wouldn't mind it if they made it a triple threat match. That might be.
Brett, you need to start being a booker. You need to be a booker. That would be a banger. A triple threat match. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot of great triple threats happened at the Royal Rumble, and I feel like that one definitely wouldn't disappoint. All three are fantastic performers, and all three of the stories make sense. Like, Cody wants his title back, but he's mad at Fatu for costing him. Fatu's mad at Drew. Drew just hates everybody. It's perfect. It writes itself.
I love that. Drew just hates everybody. That's so true. That's facts.
No, absolutely. So I guess let's say theoretically that was the card. We'll make it a triple threat at the Rumble. Let's say it's Fatu, McIntyre, Rhodes, MFT versus the Wyatts in a tag match, and then the two Rumble matches. Is that something you would get hyped for?
I would sign me up for that. Just look. First of all, we're not talking about this a lot, but I think the MFT versus the Wyatt, that's an outstanding feud. I love that. And I don't think there's no clear-cut winner. Like, I get it. A lot of people think that the MFTs are going to come out. I think you're completely underestimating what the Wyatt family can do. I love that feud. So I'm here for that feud, the triple threat match, obviously in the two Rumble matches that I think if they do have some of those young guys that you and I was talking about, that's going to be a banger.
No, absolutely. By By the way, a quick update about the game, Mo. The Steelers just picked off C.J. Stroud.
Ooh.
They tried the flea flicker, but when he went to throw, his arm got hit, and actually one of the defensive linemen picked him off. So Steelers ball around the 50-yard line.
What's the score?
3-0 Steelers.
Look, and I'm a fan of hard-hitting defensive football. If you're a Steelers fan, I'm sure you would be completely fine with winning 3-0.
Yeah, say they have another chance to at least put another 3 on the board. Just keep taking points however you can get them.
Brett, look, what I know about Aaron Rodgers is he's not going to blow a lead. Aaron Rodgers knows how to hold a lead. He can milk the clock. He can navigate the game. I knew that the Texans had the better defense, the dominant defense. But what I also said was the way the Steelers could win would be the Texans' offense, if you know what I'm saying. That I thought you could get the Stroud. I thought you could slow their offense down. Like we were talking about it on the morning show. We said if the Texans scored 17 points, they're probably going to win the football game. The only question is, I don't know if they're going to score 17 points.
No, that's fair. I actually just said on the ball right before this is I think the key to this game is going to be the turnover battle. Whoever takes better care of the football is probably going to come out on top of this one. And
Agreed.
right now, it's the Steelers who have started out 1-0 in that category. So I guess my question to you, Mo, is who's your dream Rumble winner? Like when you look at WrestleMania 42 and you look at the current landscape of champions, who do you think you would want to see win the Royal Rumble?
Selfishly, I kind of go between the old guard and the up and comings. If it's an old guard wrestler, and he's not really old guard, let's just say it's the established stars. I'd like to see Seth Rollins make a surprise return. And Seth Rollins, I would not mind Seth Rollins winning the Rumble. If it's a younger star, you can, like I said, there's so many names that I love. Evans, Femme, Javon, Trick Williams, our guy Mello, Dragunov, like that. There's so many. Look, a guy that we both enjoy. No, look, if you tell me right now today, Mo, I guarantee you Dom's going to win the Rumble. I'm taking that bet. And I love Dom, but that would be a great upset if Dirty Dom can get in there with those superstars, and he's super smart and find a way to steal the Rumble. That would be amazing to me.
No, absolutely. And it almost kind of at this point be, I think, almost next step, right? Because what else does Dom realistically have to accomplish in the mid-card? Like, there's really not a lot left for him to do in there. He's already won the IC title, beat John Cena, won titles in AAA. He's still a AAA champion. Like, I just don't know what else that you can ask for from Dom from the mid card. So I think 2026 would be a great time to move him up.
Yeah, I think he's ready to elevate another step. I will say this about Dom though, as an individual talent, he's so talented, plays his lane so well. But I think that the strength of Dom, you see it better when he's part of a faction. So even though I think I agree with you in 2026, I'd like to see him take that next step. I think he's going to have to do it within the framework of a fact. And by the way, I didn't say he's leaving Judgment Day or anything like that. Because every time we think Judgment Day is done, they got more than 9 lives. They got like 18 lives. Like every time we think they're done, they win a belt. And now that Liv is back, Liv is going to find a way to help them win a belt. I think Dom's not done with the Judgment Day, but that doesn't mean that he can't elevate the Judgment Day to new heights. It's possible. I'm just a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Liv as well. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble, but I'm also looking to see more surprising comebacks. Like, when do we get a Bianca Belair comeback? When does she step back into the fray? Matter of fact, when do we see her husband step back into the fray? He's another guy who I'd like to see at the Royal Rumble, who's incredibly talented and is deserving of a big push.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mo, I almost feel like that it's one of those things where I was shocked when they went Braun Breaker versus Punk on the first January of Raw because I really thought that we were gonna get those two at WrestleMania because it just felt right. But I still think we could get it at WrestleMania. We got an iteration of Seth Rollins and Punk at WrestleMania after we watched them fight on the first January of Raw last year. It just almost makes too much sense, right? If I don't know if Seth will be back for WrestleMania, but I'm sure he'll be back shortly after. And I don't know a better way to bring him back than inserting him into a CM Punk Braun Breaker match because it just makes sense to me that way. So I'm almost tempted to pick Braun Breaker coming back from his suspension and winning the Royal Rumble.
I think that storyline makes a lot of sense because I'm with you. Seth is probably going to be 100% on the other side of Mania, but that doesn't mean it doesn't set up a great feud between him and Braun Breaker. Correct? I, I would love it if Seth Rollins is healthy and he's a part of WrestleMania, even if it's in a surprise capacity, right? But you're right. I could see Punk and Braun Breaker get after it again. I thought the match they had last week, I thought it was a banger, and I thought it gave you everything you would expect from both performers because you saw the overwhelming athleticism and speed and strength of Breaker, but then you saw the veteran and Punk picking and choosing his moments, his opportunities. He won that match being a veteran, knowing when and where to strike in the right moment. And I enjoyed the match. Would I watch those two get into it again? Absolutely. But if you're going to throw it into a triple threat, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. It's funny because it feels like WrestleMania, okay, Punk Breaker wins the title, gets his big moment. I'm sure Seth is pushing as hard as he can. He comes back right after WrestleMania. Maybe you don't want Seth versus Breaker one-on-one right away. So Backlash, I believe, is the next pay-per-view after that, Puerto Rico. And those crowds are always nuts. Seth, Braun, Punk, Puerto Rico, Backlash for the world title. Like, that just sounds like a great main event for the follow-up pay-per-view.
I agree. I'm here for it. I was surprised that they gave Breaker such an opportunity so quick. And I thought when they gave it to him so quick, they were pushing him to where I thought they're going to give Breaker the belt. And when you watch that match play out, and there were so many false finishes, I thought, man, Breaker's he's gonna do it. And I'll be honest, I was happily surprised that CM Punk found a way to get the dub. Look, he's a generational kind of talent. He's also a third generation kind of, he comes from a wrestling family. So I get it, and I get why you would push him, and he's worthy of being pushed. Like the guy, it's funny because his dad, Rick Steiner, was a great wrestler, but his dad was nowhere near the athlete that he is.
No, absolutely. I agree, and I'm excited. I think at the end of the day, so I think you need to go someone like Breaker because after let's just say how polarized it just after we had Jey Uso last year, like I feel like they're pushing the stat that we haven't had a world champion under 30 for a reason. So it feels like that this is going to be a year where it's going to be like Breaker, Femi, or one of these young guys is winning a world title this year because I feel like there's a reason they're pushing that number.
And guess what? As a fan, I'm here for that. A world champion that's under 30, to me, should get a year run, at least a year run. It doesn't have to break Reigns' record, but I think you should get at least a year run, a good year run. Especially if you're that young and you're healthy. So yeah, I would have no problem with it. Not to mention there'd be no shortage of guys that Breaker as the champion could compete against. We just named a few: Dragunov, Trick Williams, Femme. Even if you had to go against some of the older guys like Reigns, or somebody like that, at some point Seth Rollins and Breaker are gonna get after it because they kick Seth back in, so he's not gonna let that ride.
Yeah, and on the women's side, Mo, do you have any predictions on who you think might be winning the women's Rumble?
I think an easy favorite, and I think you would agree with this, is Rhea Ripley. For all the right reasons, it's Rhea Ripley. You know what I mean? I don't have to make it complicated. It's Rhea Ripley. But a surprise win for me would be we just talked about her, Jordan. What's her name?
Oh, Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace would be a great surprise one. I'm gonna throw. Here's one. This one is a long shot. Lash Legend.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot. But she has tons of athleticism. She's powerful. She's talented. But I'm gonna put her in as a long shot. You never know. But I would like to see some of the new stars in both men's and women have a deep run in the Rumble.
Oh, I absolutely think we will, Mo. I think we're gonna get a lot of fun, young superstars with good runs. I do think that we're gonna get a returning. My prediction, and I think I'll just probably stick with this until the Rumble. But Mo, I'm thinking it's time. Unless she's still out with an injury, give me a returning Bianca Belair to win the Rumble. She hasn't been the world champ in like 3 years. It is well past due for her to get another one.
Look, we know the buildup. If that happens, because who doesn't want to see eventually Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair? I do. Although my dream women's matchup is actually Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I think that's actually a better match because I think they're both more not a knock. I like Jade, but Jade is still learning her craft. The other two are just better performers.
No, absolutely. I really thought it would be Bianca versus Rhea this year, and I genuinely picked that. Initially, I remember last year when I was doing some, the too early WrestleMania predictions. I thought Rhea versus Bianca was going to main event night one of WrestleMania. But I get it. The Bianca injury just kind of threw things for a loop, and who knows if she'll even be back for the Rumble.
Yeah, you can tell she threw off a lot. She was going to be a big part of the storyline, like you said, with her and Rhea. Her injury opened the door up for, and I like her. They opened the door up for La Primera to become the women's heavyweight champion, right? Ever since she's been champion, though, even though she's been a fighting champion, they haven't really put her up against somebody that I would say is equal to her in talent. Do you know what I mean? Not yet, at least. But I don't know the hesitation. Why not pit her against a bigger name? I know Bex just took the belt back, but I'd like to see her prove herself against somebody like Bex or Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley, like somebody. Even I wouldn't mind. I think she's wrestled EO before, but look, EO doesn't have bad matches because EO is so entertaining. But I'd like to see her go up against some of the better top tier women contenders.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a rematch. That title, that when she won the title against EO at WrestlePalooza was terrific. I'd say it almost feels like that. I feel like a name that you could watch out for her against WrestleMania because they've been trying to build her up on the SmackDown side. Julia, those two had a terrific match in NXT last year. So I wouldn't doubt if they got matched up at WrestleMania, Stephanie versus Julia, but it really feels like that if she's ready to go because of all this story and everything, it feels like now's about the time to pull the trigger on that Bianca Jade WrestleMania match.
I agree. If she's ready to go, I agree.
I would love to see AJ wrestle for the world title, but I genuinely think that her calling at WrestleMania will be against Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title. I think those two will take each other out of the running for a world title shot.
I do want to see AJ Lee. I know that she's been pretty clear in the fact that she's back, but she didn't want to be a full time. And I get that. And look, as a fan, I'm okay with that. I didn't think I was going to get to see any more AJ Lee at all. So if I get her on a part time basis, or she only shows up for big events, I'm good with that. And I would love to see AJ and Becky Lee go at or Becky Lynch go at it, because I think they're great performers and I think they have natural chemistry. So I want to see that match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to see. It's kind of funny. At times, I'm almost more excited to see what the women's side of the roster is going to hold than the men's.
The women's side is so deep, and I think the men have tons of talent, but I think the women are more compelling right now, because obviously with Io and Rhea being tag champs, that kind of takes them out of the running in terms of they're probably not going to be competing, obviously, for singles titles as long as they're tag champs. And I think obviously that's part of the bigger story. So if Rhea's out the way, okay, got it. So we're going to be putting Stephanie Vickier up against, you know what I mean, like this person or that person, or are we going to bring back? It's only a matter of time before Bianca or Tiffy comes back. So, and I think they will bring up more talent from NXT. So I'm excited. The women's division is just loaded with talent.
No, absolutely. I think the women's tag titles, if they get defended at WrestleMania, it feels like it'll be against the Judgment Day, in the sense of I could see it being, Liv and Raquel. I could see also being, Liv and Roxanne, whatever like combination they want to go with. But it feels like almost next in line will end up being Judgment Day versus Rhea and Io, which honestly, I'll take it.
I'll take it too. But I'll tell you what, if it's Judgment Day against Rhea and Io, and Liv is not in the match, that makes the Judgment Day that much more dangerous. Like, I know they all could potentially interfere in a match, but nobody. I think Liv is just the more cutthroat of the three.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, hey, next week, hey, what's good, sir? No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
What's going on, man?
And hey, next week we're getting looks like we're getting Punk versus Balor on Raw. So they're letting CM Punk be a fighting champion, which I think is awesome. I'm loving his title reign so far.
I am too, and I hope it's a long title reign.
Oh, absolutely. Give me hey, just like the how we did it before. Give me like half of it with him being a good guy, and just have him turn heel in the middle and finish out that way. I know nobody wants to boo him, but like he's just too good of a heel to not get at least one more run in as a bad guy before he hangs him up.
He is a great heel. Yeah, I would not mind a little bit of a heel turn, if you will. But this is obviously, to me, this is probably Punk's last really great run. So I want it to be a long run. You know what I mean? Like, he's been waiting a long time to get back at this and be the heavyweight champion. I want him to take this all the way through Mania and then some. I want him to go on a long run. Something that might even make people think he might challenge what Reigns did.
What happens if WWE goes out of business? It's time for AEW, baby, and TNA.
We're wrestling fans, man. We will survive. I'll be loading up on TNA, AEW, anywhere I can find wrestling. Matter of fact, my partner here knows a ton about the independent wrestling, so I'll watch independent wrestling every chance I get an opportunity. I am a wrestling addict, so if WWE should go out of business, I'll survive.
Yeah, hey, AJ Styles is going back to TNA. He has a upcoming appearance there, which is always good. I always love seeing Styles in TNA. It just feels so right. He's been in WWE longer than he does in TNA, but he's just such ingrained as a TNA guy that just feels so right seeing him back there.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I would love it if they could revive WCW, but don't forget, WWE actually owns WCW. all their rights and stuff. So if they wanted to, they could technically bring it back to life, but it I don't know, it wouldn't be quite the same because you know who owns it.
Honestly, if WWE did that, it would just come off like when they revived ECW back in like 2006. Like that was just a disaster. Like they did the cool like one night stand pay-per-views which worked, but when they brought it back full time, it was just whew, yeah, we don't remember
Right.
that. By the way, quick game update, touchdown Texans, so now they've taken a 7-3 lead.
Okay. You shouldn't feel old. I saw Andre the Giant, and I definitely saw Jimmy Snuka. I saw Jimmy Snuka wrestle Bob Backlund for the WWE title. Back then, it was a WWF title in a steel cage when he jumped off the top rope. I actually not on the ropes. He climbed the top of the steel cage, jumped down from 25 feet in the air. I remember that match. Great match.
Say that. Half the time I feel old because they'll be like, because there'll be people going post. I'll be like, take me back to the good old days. And then it'll be like a post from 2007. I'm like, whew, that's when I started watching. Oh, man.
The good old days. I got you.
It's so funny when people get caught up with the nostalgia, though. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, man, it was always, WWE was always so booming in like back in the day. I'm like, I don't know. No matter which era you go to, there's always going to be rough stuff, so you might as well enjoy it. Mid 2000s, for example, tag team division was the most brutal thing ever, and they were trying to bring back. You knew they were out of ideas when they were trying to bring back guys like Tatanka randomly and Road Warrior Animal.
Yeah,
so, the Legion of Doom 2005 was just awful.
Yeah, well, look. We all age, right? And some of those guys age better than others. It's just a fact. I remember the Legion of Doom struggle because obviously it's documented now that Road Warrior Hawk, for a lot of their time together, had a drinking problem. So,
No, absolutely. I'll never. That's why I was trying to tell people. I'm like, look, just enjoy the wrestling we got now. It's still fantastic. Like all the problems you have now, I promise you, back in the day, are like the same complaints back then. So we might as well just enjoy it. There's some great moments, but you also have some great moments now. So
look, they're gonna be some hiccups, right? Like nobody's had a greater hiccup than WCW when they try to introduce what is the dude's name? You know who I'm talking about.
The worst part is there's like 5 guys I can name off the top of my head. You had the Kiss Demon. They randomly tried to make Horace Hogan a thing. The NWO 2000. I don't know why they had Virgil in the NWO. There's like 87 guys that I can name that I'm just like, why did WCW do that? Demolition got screwed by Vince.
I remember Demolition.
I need people to stop doing this one too. By the way, I've seen too many people. I've seen too many people all of a sudden also with nostalgia put in their nostalgia goggles and go, you know what? We need Vince back, and I promise you, you don't need Vince back. As bad as you think Triple H, booking is right now. To give perspective, the last main event that Vince McMahon ever booked was a pose-off between Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. I promise you, there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't want Vince back, but even if we're just sticking with the creative side of things, that man was like creatively bankrupt for over a decade. Like, we don't need that.
I agree. And Vince famously, he came up with some of the worst characters ever. Just the worst character. I mean, he's the one that came up with what's the dude's name? Was it Repo Man was stupid. It was so dumb. He came up with that guy that looked like he just got out of prison, Nails. That was stupid. That was so dumb. he convinced Tony Atlas to come back and suddenly act like he was from Africa and called himself Samba Simba. That was so dumb. Like Vince he's done a lot of things well in terms of coming up with character, but at the same time, he's done some dumb stuff. Remember when The Rock first started out, the whole Rocky Maivia thing? Vince was on board with Rocky Maivia. Dumb. Again, another dumb gimmick.
Yeah, this one too.
Yeah,
One man game becoming Akeem the African Dream.
Right, but that was Vince. Vince did that. Vince did some really stereotypical, borderline racist stuff. Vince did some dumb stuff.
Nothing encapsulates that more than the Mexicools coming out with all three of them riding on a lawnmower. Like, that was just absurd.
Well, what is that other tag team, Brett? You'll remember Crime Time. Come on, man. That's terrible. See, Crime Time?
Oh, their theme song started out with, it was like, pop your 40s and hide your rollies. I was like, what the? Obviously he had some great ideas, but at the end of the day, there's a reason that we were all glad when Triple H took over. Believe me, because
yeah.
What the heck was Tatanka?
Oh, I remember Lex Luger as the narcissist. That was so stupid. That was so dumb. The narcissist.
Absolutely. I still remember being so confused and I still need a Sable and Sunny man.
And not now. Not now.
I say, yeah, no, absolutely. But Mo, that's all the time we had. That's all I had for us today. I know there's a good football game going on right now. Aaron Rodgers just got called for intentional grounding, and the Steelers just punted. So
he said, "I'll take it now." All right. I got you.
So you're going to be getting Texans ball with them up 7-3. So Mo, anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
No, appreciate the chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us tonight. Make sure you check out all the great content that we have at Wide Aware Network. Brett and I will be back next week. And depending on what we do this week with N1, check us out on N1 too.
Hey, absolutely. Look, I work the next 3 days. This is going to be brutal for me. If anybody really knows me, I'm not a morning person at all. I complain if I have to wake up before noon. I have 3 straight 5 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon shifts.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm free anytime in the afternoon for the next 3 days. So I'll be free for Thursday for And1. It'll be a lot of fun. I can tell you exactly why the Bucks should not trade for John Morant, despite reports saying that
I saw those. I saw that.
Yeah, we're realistic suitors. Like, well, let's become unrealistic suitors. I'm telling you, I know this ain't And1, but I need us to get out of these like big game hunting conversations, because it's like, oh, they're interested in John Morant, Zach LaVine, Miles Bridges, and Jeremy Grant. Like, let's not be interested in any of those guys.
I was gonna say, is that really big game hunting though? That's like, I feel like bringing some of those guys in is kind of like just adding more Kuzma stuff. You know what I mean? Like, is Jeremy Grant gonna change a franchise's no knock, solid player, but he's not changing your franchise's fortunes.
Right. Like when I find myself trying to convince myself who's better between Jeremy Grant and Zach LaVine, that's when I realize, like, you probably just shouldn't do this one. So
I agree. Well, yeah. I mean, if you, I mean, you could do that. And look, I'm not a huge LaMelo fan, but I think that the Hornets would lose out of that trade. But like you can criticize LaMelo, but what LaMelo has on his side is he's like 4 years younger. He can still get better. John Morant, whatever player he is, it's the player he'll always be. He's not going to get better.
I'd almost rather have Vin Baker than half the guys I just named. Believe me.
Hey, remember Todd Day and Lee Mayberry from Arkansas? I remember those dudes. Yo.
Absolutely. Like I said, you'll have to come back Thursday and check us out on And One. So
For sure.
and we'll make sure to update you if the day and time changes. But until then, guys, we thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry I got distracted, but it looks like the Texans just turned it over again. Say CJ Stroud fumbled. So, but yeah, we'll say keep you updated. We thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.